Hello, good afternoon. You're probably seeing this notification pop up. Please tap and join us today for our Friday live art demonstration brought to you here in Upbeat Artworks. Before we get into it, I just want to talk a little bit about who we are if you're not familiar. We are a part of Artbeat Studio. We are not-for-profit, registered charity, and we believe in the healing power of art. We create art to create community, to create a feeling of centeredness and feeling good about who we are as people. And we do that through a residency program that runs for 6 months in the Exchange District, but also we have a studio program, a urban art center here in Portage Place Shopping Center, Studio Central. It's a space that's open daily from Monday through Friday where folks can drop in, join us to make art and explore your creativity, and also find a path through feeling good about your mental wellness. Mental health is a spectrum. We're highs, we're lows, and today we're together so we can make art together. We're in Upbeat Artworks today. It's our art gallery. We're open as well Monday through Friday. Pop in. We're going to talk about an artist who's an alumni who's been through our programming. Reed. But I'm going to flip the phone around so then Kate can talk about this. 1 second. Hi.
Happy Friday. Let's go. Reed Gordon Charles Volpe. Born in Brandon, Manitoba, Reed's early years were steeped in artistic influence, setting the stage for a creative journey that would weave through various industries. As he approached adulthood, his focus shifted towards the business and curation aspects of the fashion world. Luxurious forays into eyewear, styling, and personal shopping propelled him through his 20s, a decade marked by his residence in Vancouver from 2008 to 2018, where fine arts took a back seat. A return to Winnipeg marked a turning point, ushering in attempts in diverse industries and a palpable need for artistic expression. Reed's artistic endeavors delve into self-exploration and development, exploring traditional, abstract, and expressionist forms with heavy-body acrylics, oil paints, and pastels. The emotional catharsis of his process is embodied in the use of a palette knife. Reed's artistic journey is informed by a rich tapestry of influences, including iconic figures like Alexander McQueen, Mapplethorpe, and Helmut Newton. Post-impressionist visuals such as Picasso's Blue and Rose period and Munch's evocative nude portraits. The influence of Abramovich's groundbreaking work, particularly Rhythm Zero, 1974, is evident in Reed's philosophy that art should be disgusting. Art should ask the right questions. Art should change the world, a guiding principle aiding his growth and development. The Artbeat residency played a crucial role in the acceptance and possibilities of his diagnosis. Socializing in Artbeat groups increased his ability to be vulnerable and increased his ability to genuinely connect with others. So we talk about different studies and the art direction. We can start with the foie gras and opera, which are separate pieces. And this one is H.R. Giger influenced.
Nice. And these are, how many studies do we have here in the store with him?
We have body, female and male torso. We have exploration and a self-portrait. This one is actually from Grindr Profile, which was deleted some time ago. But I can read this.
Sure.
This portrait was made using oil pastel with medium on multimedia paper. It's created using the artist Grindr Profile picture. Sorry, I'm not familiar with this. I just know that it existed from some time ago.
Yeah.
Comments of social media, and gay culture are evident.
Nice. And so now this work by Reed is available here in Upbeat. So how much is that piece?
This piece is is 125
Nice.
Canadian dollars. We have self-portrait studies which are different and they use different mediums. So this is a study in dioxazine, oil paint with medium on pastel paper. The progression of the body study influenced by Helmut Newton's fashion photography. Lower facial features are focused on using mainly dioxazine violet and quinacridone magenta as color path, with Galkid gel as an additive, eroticizing the pigment.
Nice.
So this one, I read a lot about it yesterday, looking for what I could think about, but the only thing I think about when I get into paints is like how would I paint it myself, rather than exploration and discoveries, which are a big thing for Reed, because Reed was admiring discoveries from different great scientists and not scientists.
Yeah.
Like this one is the pastel with the clip, which is a new medium comparably to what was used before.
Beautiful.
And the mediums are being added constantly. They change their texture, what's inside, and most likely you would see the same medium is being produced by different companies, improved. So the improved formula or a completely different product can be found in the stores and then they disappear because they found a better and more safe for people and animals, well, let's say constitution of what it consists of.
It's also nice to see, I find, like, to see what references, what inspires Reed's work.
It's a lot of research, not only on materials themselves and how they work, but it's a lot of thinking about how they were created, the history of them. So this one is which one? Art direction, which one? And it's related to Shakespeare in the Ruins. And done as art direction for the artist collaborative and professional relationship with Shakespeare in the Ruins. He has a refurbished accessory and clothing line in process, around 2025 production of Macbeth. Available June 2025, and
Beautiful.
the artist says, hopefully it will be June 2025. If it's not there by that, we'll change the but it's expected to be there at around that time. We have which one, which three, and Hecata, which is just a part of it, and this hand is also a part of the Shakespeare in the Ruins preparation.
Yeah.
They're all done with a mixed media, oil and oil pastel with different mediums using Grumbacher, and this one is it states more. This is oil and soft medium with medium on paper, and some of the artwork actually adds more, like it says which kind of oil pastel. So this one says Senelian Artist Loft, like, and which kind of pastels. Some of them talk a lot about the medium, but also sorry, Ophelia. That's Ophelia. I didn't mean to
Good.
do that. So if you want to read more, it talks about inspiration, such as Tamara de Lampica's deco work, artistic references for this piece. The most famous piece, I'd say not most famous piece by itself, but inspired by, I don't know, what's your favorite piece here, actually?
My favorite?
Yeah.
Probably one of the...
Ophelia study. So the Ophelia study, it's all about giving Ophelia her to be or not to be moment in the woods before her suicide. And autonomy, maturation, and rebellion are all explored using art, nouveau, and expressionism visually. Sennelier, oil pastel and soft pastel with medium was used in the paint creation. Yeah, and my favorite one, which is interesting, I had three favorites when I just looked at them. So my favorites were actually the body study
Oh, nice. Yeah.
and the male torso, which are part of concerned man study done during our big program, most of them.
Nice.
And this one, so this one is the Ophelia study as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. There's like a.
I'm so sorry. This is the Art Nouveau portrait, oil and soft pastel with medium on paper. Okay, I need to fixate this one so it doesn't.
Great. So then these are. So we've talked about Reed's work, but if you are curious, come down to Upbeat Artworks. We're on the second floor of Porridge Place, just past Dollarama. You can't miss us. Their work is on display here, with the write-ups here as well, so you can see what inspires this artist to create the work that they make. So we're thankful that we can highlight them today before our demo.
And they are 150 or 125. These are the two prices set up for each of the pieces.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, Kate. Thank you for that. So now we're to the main event. Hi.
Morgan is here with interesting things. We're all excited about that. Well, Morgan is a Winnipeg-based artist who works with different mediums. And when Morgan doesn't paint with watercolor, does a lot of different things. So it can be what we're doing today, and I'm passing.
I'm not painting with watercolor. I paint with, I sculpt masks I sculpt leather into decorative wearable masks, and paint them with a mix of acrylic and dye. So we are going to get to see some of that processed.
Ooh. Exciting.
So
Painting on sculpted leather.
yeah.
Yes.
So it takes a certain amount of prep to get the masks to this point where they're actually ready to be painted.
Okay.
So first you have a roll of leather and you have a design that you've made on a sheet of paper, and you trace the design onto the flat sheet of leather, you cut it out with heavy duty leather shears, and you slim down the design with X-Acto knife, because you're not cutting this with leather shears. This kind of detail you use an X-Acto knife for. Then you tool the leather. So you're using a nylon-headed mallet and metal stamps. So every single feather on this bird, for example, is a single stroke of mallet. Every single scale on this dragon.
Wow, you can see all the details. It's
Right?
amazing.
Here's a finished mask. Every single scale on the dragon and every bit of texture on the fins was a lot of mallet strokes. So then once the tooling's been done, then comes the sculpting, which you do in the oven on a low heat, taking it out every few minutes to make adjustments. And I mold these to the shape of my own face, generally. So put it in the oven, let the water bake out a bit. You have to get the leather wet in order to sculpt it. And then it slowly bakes out and keeps its shape afterwards. Just a few minutes at a time with adjustments.
Very cool.
And then it still has to dry out more. And then you're finally This one has been dyed instead of painted. The dye sinks into the leather, whereas the paint is a layer on top of the leather, so it doesn't have
Oh,
texture.
yeah.
There is
Okay.
some paint on this one on the fins, and then a nice shimmery top coat. But it's going to have that base of green that looks a little bit different.
Yeah. Here, can I hold that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got some smaller pieces here for people to work on that aren't like the huge mask, because that can be kind of an intimidating project.
Wow, that is so cool. I just love how you're sculpting. The first step is like hammering, sculpting,
Yeah, it's
and now
very
we're
tactile kind of
yeah.
work. So let's take a look at what you've done, Logan. Yeah, so this is a hair piece that you would use with a hair stick to go through the holes there.
Cool.
And it would stay in a bun. And we've got Logan, who has done some detail work already.
Oh, that's a nice color, Logan.
Thank you.
You put the color on?
Yeah, the blue, yeah.
Yeah, I get my leather from
Love
Warhol
that.
Saphir in the Exchange. It's actually quite nearby. It's just over on Hargrave. And you can get multiple thicknesses of leather. So you get a different effect with a thinner piece of leather than you do with a thicker one.
What,
So you could believe that's 7 to 8 ounce, and that's 3 to 4 or 4 to 5. I'd have to check my papers to be sure.
but you can see the density difference. Yeah.
The thinner leather is easier to cut out, but everything else about working with it is harder. In fact, sometimes they don't always come out. The butterfly mask that Kate is working on at the moment will look lovely on a wall, but I'm afraid it's slumped out of shape during baking because it's that thin
Oh,
leather.
okay. Yeah.
And it's too small to actually wear,
Yeah.
whereas the rest of these actually will fit comfortably on a human face once you get the ribbon or the elastic on it.
Yeah.
I always try to make sure that the eye holes don't protrude into your face, so it's comfortable to wear. That's one of the big things. And all right,
And what kind of paint are we using?
so most of this is basically all different brands of acrylic paint that is suitable for painting on leather.
Okay.
EcoFlow is Tandy's house brand. Tandy Leather is down by the Exchange.
Oh, yeah.
Inkster.
Tandy.
Yeah. And then this brand, Angelus, came from Warhol Saphir. They've got great color selection down there. So really happy to let them know.
That's cool. What kind of price point would people be looking at for this paint typically?
Honestly, I completely forget. Usually I buy them as and when I have a project that calls for that specific color. I think it was like $6, maybe 10.
Nice.
But honestly, don't quote me on that.
Also, side note, Clint Roscoe says hi. Hi, Clint.
Hi, Glenn.
I love this red.
And then here is one special type of dye, this antiquing dye. Yeah.
No
Gives
way.
you a lovely aged look. I've got some
Let's see.
examples of what things look like.
I know. The story of my
These are
life.
various paint styles on sort of like a scrap turned into sample sheet.
Okay.
But this is the antiquing. So I'm
Oh.
going to put it onto this bookmark with a wood grain pattern and see what we get.
So this is the various paints.
Yeah, various paints with different metallic finishes.
Yeah, I can see that finish on it. That's nice.
Yeah, the metallic stuff is really lovely finish.
And this just has is the antique like a bit of a glaze?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a little, it's kind of like a dye and kind of not. It's like feels in the way it handles somewhere in between dye and paint. So
Okay.
you rub it on and it gets into all the little crevices. Rub some on and then rub it off. And then it leaves in the crevices, the deeper bits.
Yeah, it really draws it out.
Yeah. And
Makes the details pop.
yeah.
Like the texture.
It really does. In fact,
Also, I love that.
I think
Looks like a tree.
it's gonna look, yeah, wood grain is exactly what
Yeah.
I was going for.
Oh, there you go.
I think journal covers with that.
That's great.
Thank you. And this has flowers all over it, but if we do the antiquing first and then paint afterwards on top, then it'll still pop really nicely. And you get to have a mix of color and texture.
So you can paint on top of the.
Yup.
Okay.
Sir.
That's
Just like
great.
you can paint on top of dye.
Yeah.
The antiquing does take a certain amount of it, though. You see, I have to put on a pretty large block each time. That might have been a little too much.
I think I'm gonna go sit down and.
Yeah, so like, yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Does the paint have that much of a scent?
I haven't noticed the scent at all. Yeah, I can't smell it.
Yeah, because sometimes in different mediums, I think about like oil paints. Sometimes like
Yeah.
the not the paint,
If
but
you-
If you really sniff at it, there's a mild scent,
Yeah.
but you have to try
Yeah.
to smell it. Yeah, it's not gonna hit you.
yeah.
Yeah, so here's that antiquing on that, and you can see it's added a little nice outline to everything.
Yeah. And this finish kind of gives me like that classic leather finish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It makes you think of cowboys.
Yes.
Where did those wet wipes go? I think.
Cool. That's awesome. Beautiful.
Thank you. This can just dry for a bit before any paint goes on to.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit over there. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's a thing too. Like you don't realize that you can paint on leather.
Yeah.
Really, I didn't. Why does that make sense?
It's right here. Okay.
I'm going to paint on one of the flat pieces. Yeah.
This one's kind of cool. Which one did you want?
Maybe the small one right beside it.
This
Yeah.
the scales. Yeah, I can show you the dry brushing technique that I use.
Sure.
Yeah. So first you would want to paint it whatever color you feel like painting the scales.
Okay.
So we've got a couple shades of green, we've got blue and red and purple.
Maybe blue. I think maybe blue. So I just paint all the scale parts the blue color.
Yep.
Okay.
You want to try and go with a nice thin layer because every layer of paint that you put on does impact the texture a tiny bit.
Mm.
So if you paint on a lot of thick layers, then your dry brushing is going to be harder to get the same
Right.
effect.
Yeah. Okay.
I read on the bottle it said a bunch of thin layers is better than a few thick layers.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, you read the instructions.
Yeah.
That was smart,
Yeah.
Logan. That
Yeah.
was smart.
Very
Oh
wise.
yes. There we go. Okay. Child free.
Yeah.
Uh oh.
Makes sense.
Can't get in.
Yeah, so once you are done painting that blue, let me know, and
Okay.
we will start on the dry brushing part of things. Well, actually, it needs to be painted blue, and then you'll need to give it a little bit of time to dry.
Sure.
So you'll probably want to grab something else after that to play around with. Definitely it helps when you're working on this to have a couple different things to do at once. So while one is drying, you can move on to the next. Oh, shoot. There was a hole in this. Oh, no. Oh, that's why we have the tablecloth. I'm gonna paint this mask a nice base coat white, because then the colorful paints will really pop. It's especially important if you're using a lighter color, like that pale green that is one of the colors on Kate's palette there. The more texture you can tool into the mask before you do the sculpting, then like it's kind of like you have more to play around with when it comes to the painting. A plain basic mask without much texture is like a wide open canvas with nothing on it. brought it to drink with, but you can use most of it as long as there's still some left.
Yeah.
I just fill in the that.
Oh, no, just like paint it all.
Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
The whole thing, getting the paint into the cracks, but not too thickly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just like.
Oh, no, I wasn't very clear about that. Oh, if I had to paint every single individual scale, I would go nuts.
So I just paint the whole thing.
Yeah, paint the whole thing. That's why you want to have the thinner layers, is because if you paint the whole thing, but you've got a lot of paint on your brush, it'll fill in the layers,
Right.
and then that makes it's not as conducive to the dry brushing technique later that makes it really pop at the end.
Should I try to get the blue into the crevice as well?
Exactly. Exactly. Like here's one where the white didn't get into the crevice, and you can see
Right.
the difference between where it did.
Yeah, okay. Wow. Smart. Thanks.
So we're gonna do another layer after, like,
Kind of like light layers, and then let them dry, and then go back over it.
okay, I got you.
Mhm. That's also generally why I try to work with one color at a time, and I try to use them straight out of the bottle with a minimum of mixing, because at least on the base coats, the less mixing you have, the easier it is to get a nice consistent look. The top layers, they'll be, because they're on top of the prior smooth base layers, you can play around with those a little bit more without it looking patchy, because they're supported by the layers underneath them. And it definitely helps to make sure to go around the edges so that you don't have a sharp border. Can I see what you're doing, James? Can I take a closer look? Nice, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, it's just a series of gotta do the right steps in the right order, and then you end up with something really lovely. This is not an art form that lends itself that well to improvisation. It helps to have an idea of what you're going for when you start. Although with a pattern like that, where it's got lots of little different tool elements,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to pick and choose as you go. You definitely snaffled up a good one.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
definitely like Morgan on some of your previous mask work. Your color choices are really good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I always try to make sure the colors support each other.
Yes. And also, while we're doing this, if anyone watching is curious or has a question at all, like feel free to throw a question down in the comments and we'll answer them as they come up.
Yeah, so while I'm waiting for that first layer of white to dry on the compass rose mask, I can put very carefully, I can put paint on this sea dragon mask. A friend of mine said it looked a little bit like a creature from the Black Lagoon, which made me very happy.
I see that.
butterfly shape is a pretty good one to improvise on compared to a lot of the rest. It's a good choice.
I like is yours leaves stuff?
It is leaves.
Mm-hmm. Trying to set myself up for hard mode here with the acrylic paint over top of the dye. When you're doing acrylic on all of it, then if you miss paint, you can cover it up. That's not quite going to work the same here if I make a mistake, so I will just have to be very, very cautious.
Is there? Here's
Oh, yeah. Sorry, not trying to bogart the colors.
No, I just hadn't used it yet.
I knew I meant to take that back on. Oh no. Okay. Let's get this off before it sets.
Do another one.
Absolutely. We've got this, and we've got this. Although I wouldn't suggest this one unless you feel like you can do pretty clean lines.
The wolf feet.
Yeah. If you feel yeah.
And I'm going for thin layers here.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it can help to thin the paint out with water, but you want to be sure not to thin it out too much, or it doesn't really do its job covering the surface. It's all a balancing act. Have we got any duct tape or electrical tape?
We have scotch tape. Is there duct tape in there, Logan?
Like, this clear tape?
Yeah, that'll probably do for the short term.
Yeah.
I just want to try to make sure this paintbrush isn't going to fall apart on me a second time.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
I have
Good luck.
Gorilla tape if you
I don't know what Gorilla Tape is.
Sounds strong.
Yeah.
It's strong but not with everything, so I'm not sure if it works with
Now I'll let this dry for now. So I got my ooh, love
That
that.
is lovely.
try this one.
The colors of the
Oh,
trees.
that would be perfect.
What was me drying?
Do you have scissors or anything?
This kind of tape you can usually tear.
Because this one you cannot.
Oh, okay.
It's very thick. I'll
I see what you mean.
scissors.
Thank you.
Clint said, I put on a mask now and then.
Was that?
He said, I put a mask on now and then.
It can be fun. Costumes and putting on masks. And it's like, when you wear a mask, you can let a side of yourself come out that you don't show with your normal face.
Yes, 100%.
You can play a part.
It's not really what they are, yeah.
I think it would be amazing if we had masquerade parties.
Yeah.
Halloween.
Right.
I can work on some of these smaller pieces.
Oh, yeah, these are just for playing around with different colors. If you want, you
I
can
would
do
like that, yeah.
Or if you want, you can play around with this.
I'll start with maybe a couple of small pieces.
Yeah, absolutely.
These are very
Yeah, those are eye holes.
nice.
Yeah.
From masks.
Yep.
Eyes.
Okay. What does it?
They're like the Timbits of leather
Okay.
masks.
Okay, good. Do you put them back on the mask?
That's so good.
No, I just save them for testing colors on. Yep. Always feels like leather scraps should be so useful, and sometimes they even are.
I love those colors, Kate.
Yeah, that is lovely.
Yeah, that's what it is for now. Yeah, just
Mhm.
random.
I think the directions that you've chosen work really well with the lines that are scored into the mask.
Love the green and yellow. Steph?
It reminds me of spring.
Mm-hmm.
They really desperately need it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, don't we all? Still, apparently it's getting up to 10 above today.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't really need a scarf or anything when I came here, so far so good.
You want to keep us with those shimmery ones?
And then I want you to try the dragonfly glaze as well. So
I
can
would
try
suggest
it
before you
after,
put
right?
it, before you put it directly onto the mask,
Yeah.
take some scraps.
And try it.
And yeah, I would put some colors on the scraps like you've done with your mask.
Yeah,
Let
I
them dry.
want to put it just in several areas, not
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah, but before you put put it on the scraps so you can be sure how it's going to look. It's always worth the time to test your colors out first with every
It kind
medium
of
I've
has a
ever come
purpley
across.
sheen too. That's it when I put it on here. The sparkles are kind of green and purple.
Yeah, the metallics and pearlescent paints that I got from Morkov Saphir, I am so happy with. They really just make the piece on the Sea Dragon mask and the Lone Moth mask. And the Lone Moth mask for the, it's right there. Yeah. Yeah. So this.
It's out.
I think I need to put it back on the shelf just so we have table space.
That's like the antique thing Morgan demos. It gives it like the look of age leather.
So it goes what, on dry paint?
it's like that.
Yeah, it goes directly on the leather before you put any paint on.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
before, okay.
Yeah.
Darkens
before.
the.
Mm.
Yeah, adds more texture to the whole thing and makes it pop.
Let me get the brush. This one, yes.
Okay, I just need to grab a little more of that.
Oh, yeah.
Should we
I'll
move-
return it, I just,
Should we move this guy off the?
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah,
Okay.
made a good enough
Set them aside.
demo piece.
Just in case.
Okay, we can move this one back. Reminds me of people cutters almost.
Oh,
With like a central eye kind of thing happening.
yeah, I was kind of thinking, like, what do they call it? Like an elevation map? You know, you look at like the
contour
map.
lines.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you, contour lines.
Yeah, I totally see it now. It's like a valley with mountain peaks. That's cool.
Old rose gold.
transfer it and give yourself problems.
Yeah.
Yesterday, after I dyed this green, I forgot to wash my hands and I went to play a video game and the dye got on my controllers.
Oh.
Luckily, I noticed it and washed off and it was fine. But like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. Oh, that's pretty. Colors really pop.
Mhm. Usually on the second coat, you don't end up needing as much paint to cover the same area as on the first coat.
So should I give this blue a second coat?
You can take a closer look at that. This looks really even.
Yeah, that's a solid
Yeah,
job.
this is really even, so I don't think you need a second coat before we move on to the dry brush.
Okay, cool.
I am just going to finish the second coat on this Compass Rose mask, and then I will switch gears and we'll talk about the dry brushing.
May I ask what is Compass Rose?
Oh, Compass Rose, it's like the thing that you see on a map where it's like a decorative thing that shows you which way is north.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They can get quite elaborate. I went with a really simple design for this mask.
True,
Yeah.
Oh, I see it now. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Some people have also described it as a sun, which you can
Okay.
also
Yeah.
see.
yeah, that's
that
what I
way.
thought. It was like.
And honestly, whichever you feel like painting it as. I was thinking of going, I've got like a brassy gold, so I was thinking of going with that for one of the colors. Sort of evoking that naval tradition.
Oh, that's the rose gold mixed with tiny bit of turquoise.
Yeah, the rose gold is a great color. Eh?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's one of
Gives
my
it a pop.
absolute faves. So the dry brush.
Okay, I guess I move on to the smaller brush.
Okay.
This one, let's try it.
Okay, oh shoot, I didn't think this one through because I only have one brush that's really good for dry brush.
Okay.
Do you think-
I have some brushes here that
Oh,
I want to use, like
yeah,
with this.
that would work. That would
Okay.
definitely
We're
work.
kind of wanting a thick one.
Yeah.
And we can
Thank you,
always go to Studio Central. and
Yeah.
pick up some.
I love leather.
It's so fun to play with.
Smells good.
It does, it really does.
My favorite candle at home is scented leather.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite colognes was leather. It's like a leather undertones.
Yeah, it's such a nice smell. Yeah, this kind of leather is called vegetable tan leather. So it ends up with a different
Yeah.
feeling that than you get from like the stuff you see in leather couches and
Okay,
leather
yeah.
jackets. That's chrome tan. Mhm. So different tanning process. And you can't tool chrome tan leather, but you can tool vegetable tan leather.
This is the only big one I have.
That's okay, it'll work just fine. Now, the trick with the dry brushing is, do you want to use the rose gold or the silver pearlescent? I'm snagging the 18 karat gold.
I think I'm gonna try the silver.
I think that'll go nicely, the most nicely. Now, the trick with the dry brushing is that it's gonna feel like you're wasting a lot.
Okay,
So you're gonna get a little bit on the brush,
okay,
and then you're gonna get it off of your brush. And then once you've done that, so you have a little bit, there's still too much on here. So then you take it and you go over paper towel,
okay.
and that gets the most of it off, and that just leaves it. Yeah. Yeah, the paper towel step is like this, with holding it perpendicular, okay? And then you're gonna hold the brush perpendicular when you're putting it on,
Okay.
perpendicular to the work. And see, these scales have a V pattern that gives them a bit of a grain.
Mhm.
You want to go across the grain, not with the grain.
Okay, yeah.
And that's, if you go very lightly over the top, then the golds, the shimmer stays on top and doesn't penetrate into the cracks of V's from the pattern. And this is usually where you only need to do one coat, because this is pretty effective stuff.
It goes on quite well.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really happy with the metallics that I've gotten from Workhouse Saphir down at the Exchange. Very high quality stuff. Hey, I mean, I want that store to stick around, so I'm gonna talk them up. I don't like having to bus all the way to Tandy to get my leather.
Also, the buses to get to Tandy are,
Yeah, it's like a 77 last time I checked, although I suppose that's changing with the new,
right.
yeah, with the change over to the transit system. So who knows what the bus down there will be like now.
There might be 2 buses down there.
Instead of 3, I take that.
Oh, okay, it's 3. Love that.
Plus walking to get to.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's not too bad. I've definitely had farther walks from places.
I've never heard of Candy.
Yeah, Tandy Leather. They're like the big leather wholesaler. They're like the main. I don't know if they're the Walmart of leather working, but they're definitely the big box store of leather working. Maybe the Michaels of it.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Michaels.
That's where I got all my original tools and stuff from. I accidentally did not get enough off with paper towel before I put it on here. No, it's just really thick wadge of gold there instead of the more restrained look.
This is kind of,
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to get. It's like a subtle shimmer.
yeah.
Yeah. And because this is acrylic, it's its own top coat. Yeah. This mask has a lot of texture just because of the way I did the dye. And then the dye kind of seeped into the turquoise when I was putting it on the fins and left it even more textured. So instead of trying to fix that like it was a mistake, I'm gonna roll with it and the whole thing will have a little more texture than it otherwise would. The more you do the dry brushing, the more penetrated into your brush the paint gets. So more and more careful you have to be not to overload the brush. Pretty. Thank you. Yours looks lovely, Logan. Thank you. Yeah. Although, you know, with a wig,
Your Bob Ross.
It's, yeah, I haven't had a long hair with.
nice. Yeah, put yourself up a nice little bun in that.
Yeah.
Tied up with a hair thing.
So,
Yeah, this is looking nice.
Beautiful.
leather, anything else to work with? With more texture, or you're happy with the flat pieces?
Yeah, a little flat pieces.
Yeah, it can be fun.
Okay, may I have the green? Oh, 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 oh. Oh. Whoops.
And where is the leather dry brush?
Yes.
Yeah, that looks sharp.
Yeah. There. Man, I love how swirly paint water gets once you put some gold, some like glitter into it.
Yeah.
It's fun to look at. You can use like your typical dollar store acrylic paints on leather, technically, but they'll dry with a matte finish that I'm not a huge fan of. But they have satin sheen coats that you can buy. I have satin finishes in both brands that I work with, paint, and those will really help take care of that matte texture in a nice way.
Rose gold again.
This brush is a little bit toast. Alas. May I borrow one of your brushes, Steph?
Sure, what are you needing, like a pointy?
Yeah, that would be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you can check on what I have here. This is a new one I haven't used.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That's so good.
That is This brand I found is a little easier to get open because it doesn't do that child lock thing.
Child-proof.
Not sure what color I want the other rays on this to be. Thinking maybe a bright blue. I did red, then it would look sun-like, you know? Which maybe I wanna go for that. What do you think, blue or red?
Red. Why not blue and red?
Yeah.
Mm. No, that's good though. Here, I'll just snag some of that red that you already got on your palette, Kate.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I just.
Yeah, I have a lot of red happening too.
Awesome, thank you. Red and the blue are both gonna need several coats to go on smooth.
Yeah.
That's okay. Still blur, sorry.
No worries.
That's cute. Polka dots.
Oh my gosh.
Just
Oh,
like,
polka dot ears.
kind of looks like a whale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you pass me the blue?
Yes. Which blue?
The dark blue.
I really like these shimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
the
so,
shimmers
so
are
nice to
pretty.
work
It
with.
really gives it such a depth.
Yeah.
How are we for time?
I'm not sure. We're not in the wristwatch era anymore.
Oh, I had my.
Yeah.
something there.
Oh, 207. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Such a fun time to make your time.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oopsies. Oh. Okay, so I can just show what I did so far. It's not done definitely, but that's beautiful. Oh, great.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
If you didn't tell me it wasn't done, I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
says really lovely.
Okay, hold that up again. Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's amazing.
Logan.
So good, yeah.
Steph, what do we got going on?
We have some leaves
Cool.
and also the thermal.
Yeah.
Topographic.
Yeah,
map.
topographical map.
And then just some random bits of leather that aren't quite finished.
Cool.
Experiments.
And Morgan, what do you have?
We've got this dragon mask.
Beautiful.
Painted and dry brushed with the gold. We've got this example of antiqued wood grain.
Beautiful, yeah.
That's what I thought when I first saw it too.
More,
Yeah.
more antiquing.
When the company-
Beautiful.
So this could be finished the way it is, or you could come back later and paint in the details similar to the way Logan did on his hairpiece there. And then there's this, which is still in
Beautiful.
progress.
So this work that we're doing right now, a lot of it's in progress, as you can tell. So we're gonna keep working on this, putting paint onto our sculpted leather. And what we'll do is eventually we will take some photos of the work that we did today, and we'll post that below, so you'll be able to see some of the finished works that we were able to create today. But in the meantime, we are going to sign off for today. So thank you, Morgan. Bye, everyone. Have a great Friday.